inherited from a previous age, with all the standards and all the values that went with that. Some of you may have experienced this yourself. You'll be sat in the order of success or failure last spelling test. So for some of us in Scotland, we never knew there was a front to the classroom. We used to spend our days hidden up the back. Now, the learning over time to continue up at this end, social constructivism. Yes, group work, people supporting each other, learning from each other, being skilled to help each other learn, micro-coaching, peer assessment, student voice in 40 years. 40 years. See, the phenomenal change, and some of you have lived through this, the phenomenal change means that some of the solutions that were yesterday's solutions to yesterday's problems are now redundant. And that's why it's so much power, so compelling a case for a skills-based approach, a competency-based approach. And this is what this is. Now, some of you may be pursuing the pelts. For me, too clumsy. Too many of them. Overlap. Ill-defined. I think there is some beauty, and I would say this because I'm part of the architect of it, there is some beauty in simplicity. And these 5 R's here, and we'll talk you through what it is. So, our premise is there is a real need, a real case for freshening up our thinking. But at the same time, you all exist in an age of accountability, contextual value added, public examinations. Essex isn't known for having high contextual value added. So we need to be realistic about what is desirable and what is achievable. And my argument, and the school's argument here, is going to be, well, actually, if we think this through carefully, we can in time do both. We can sustain that public accountability, we can deliver children who will have good examination successes, and at the same time leave us with a skill set and a set of personal qualities and attributes that will equip them for different sorts of challenges. And this isn't just about lower ability learners. This is a generic program that goes across the school. It's not about isolated lessons done in silos. It is about those skills being generic. Let me give you an example. You want your students to go and do medicine at university. They've got a challenge. One of the pieces of research that we were involved in with some of our schools was to write to university admissions officers asking about medicine. What do you need? How can we help our children get in? How can we help our students gain access to medical courses? All the universities wrote back. The one who wrote back with the most detail was Southampton. They said they had 120 places, they had 7,000 applications. Problem. Of those 120 places, 40 were for overseas students. Of the 80 that remained, 40 were for students who had, and this was a statutory requirement in their view, they were earmarked for older, more mature students. So, this is a challenge. So what was it you need? Well, A stars, A's, that's a given. At A level, that's a given. Extended relevant work experience in the sector, a given. Not popping in to see what a GP does, or having a work placement where you do some photocopying in the admin office of a local hospital. But extended relevant work experience, talking about year out, doing something advantaged in that respect. In certain social circumstances, that's a disadvantage. You're not able to do that, sponsor that. But what they said was most important of all was in interview, when young people were able to articulate the nature of the learning that had occurred as a consequence of that experience. So they're able to articulate the learning, talk about the learning. Now, one of the things that historically schools have not done, they haven't done language of learning very well. We're still talking about schemes of work. We don't talk about schemes of learning. We're using industrial language that is from a previous age. We still talk about lessons for lesson, read sermon. So one of the things that this school and others like it will be doing is trying to equip youngsters with a language of learning so they can articulate their understanding. Why is it in a year 7 wouldn't be expected to understand the term metacognition or scaffolding? So why not? There's concepts like more elaborate concepts than that articulated in different disciplines. So one of the things we're attempting to do is to make a common language of learning. So what does it involve? Let's have a look at this. And I'm really the warm-up act, so we've talked about this, vision on to Twitter on. The nature of the emerging technologies, powerful, we take that for granted. And I know of some schools where within the next 5 years they're looking at a zero ICT capital spend. And get your head around that. Why is that? Because they know and understand that all the students are going to have mobile technologies. They're going to have mobile phones that are immensely powerful. And many are already there. So the technology, powerful, penetrative. And it's in all households. Pervasive. It used to be the case, you go to a red box, that red box was static, and you were able to contact someone else's red box or equivalent on the other side of the Atlantic. But now it's moving around. So you can be in a victim of an earthquake in Haiti, and on your iPhone, if you're lucky enough and wealthy enough and prosperous enough to have one, and one that you can look up how to deal with a fracture and apply a tourniquet to yourself while you're away to being rescued. You can be intimidated by Somali pirates and be on the phone and sending out messages and so on. So the technology, it's phenomenal in its capability of linking people together. And of course there are inherent dangers in that as well. So we've gone from a sort of vision on where people whom you never ever met decided what was good for you. And then an individual would organise the learning experiences so we all got the same thing at the same time and in the same way, irrespective of our starting points or our or what we wanted to do with our lives. To a position now where it's not red box speaking to red box, it's much, much more personalised, and we've gone beyond the terminology personalisation. It's beginning to be embedded in our schools. And it's a marvellous time, a marvellous, positive time to be in education, I think. So we've gone from vision on to Twitter on. Here are some of the essentials of Learn to Learn, and I only have a short time to just highlight a few for you. The best example of a Learn to Learn approach that I've come across, I think, is at Cramlington Community High School in Northumberland. I think so. It's not the only way, and there are other takes and other models, but I think they've spent the most time on it and have thought it through to some depth. So they will report to parents, for example, not on effort and behaviour grades. They'll do all the statutory reporting that's required, but they report on the degree to which the children have exhibited these 5 R's, examples of which you'll see next door. So the parent has an opportunity to do something about it. If I'm a parent and I get a report and it says your child's got 3 out of 5 for effort, I'm not really sure what to do. If it says, well, your child's got C+ for behaviour, I'm not really sure what to do. But if it says, well, your child has demonstrated a level of resilience in art, whereby she's stuck at it, she's remained positive, she's set targets, and she's practiced, then I can have a dialogue around these things. So we're taking it to a different sort of level. So at Cramlington, they not only deliver the approach discreetly and across the school, they deliver it via what they say to parents and the involvement of parents, and they also deliver it through themed weeks. So there are a range of possible strategies of doing this, and the intent, ultimately, is to make the learners more independent, so that when it comes to the sharp end, when it comes to project work, when it comes to public examinations and so on, there's less dependence on the teacher and more of an opportunity for them to learn independently. I was speaking to someone this morning who said about a school in Pontefract that in the autumn term 2008 had a fire, and large parts of the school burned down, and they had to relocate, and they had to put a lot of effort into the virtual learning environment and creating online learning experiences for youngsters. They had to put a lot of effort into helping these youngsters learn